All right. So I guess I'll start by just letting people know who we are here. And that we're really just going to have a conversation about breast implants and explanting them. And my name's Kole Hansen. And if you'll introduce yourself, we'll take it
Yeah,
from
my name's Cameo Haag.
there. Great. And you live in Salt Lake City or just outside of?
Yeah, just outside of it.
Nice. So
Not too
I'm
tough.
from there originally, and we were Facebook friends before we met before the breast implant illness group. So, which is great.
Yeah, awesome.
So basically, all I'm going to do is ask questions and we're just going to talk about it. Like, I don't have any itinerary necessarily, but I just want to hear so that we can share our stories, but real stories and put faces to it. So, why don't you share when you got breast implants and maybe if you felt immediate impact from them?
I got them 10 and a half years ago. And so, and I did it like 2 months after I had my last baby.
Sure.
And so I think I was kind of experiencing some postpartum depression and just feeling disconnected. And it was something that just made me feel like, I don't know, maybe I'd feel better in my body or my life or and that was the reason I had got them. I had grown up with six brothers and I was the only girl, and so there was a lot of sexual content in the house, of like how a woman should look, and so I kind of let that influence a lot. And then after having my last child, I thought, oh, great, now I can have beautiful breasts, and, and
Sure.
went out and got it. Yeah.
Well, and especially because
So
after having kids,
yeah,
it's a whole other ball game.
yeah, exactly. Well, and I've always connected my breasts to sexual stuff. I've never breastfed, or because it just felt so weird to me to use them as what they're meant for, like for women
Gotcha.
to actually nourish their babies. But they were so sexualized to me that that's all I really could connect to them with.
Interesting. So
Yeah.
I know for some women, they get really, really sick for implants. And for other women, I mean, we all have our own reasons or our own paths that lead us to our implants just not serving us, whether it's health or personal or spiritual. Share a little bit maybe of what made you start to explore even getting your implants removed.
Yeah, well, it's been a couple year journey for me that I've really been in alignment to like working on my emotional self and my spiritual self, and just trying to be more natural in my life. And then I always had these implants that just I felt fake in a way, like
Mhm.
I could never be my true self because I just felt like I was being blocked
Sure.
from experiencing what I wanted to experience. And so I wasn't super sick from my implants. I had definitely chronic fatigue and I had no idea what it was. I thought I was just depressed because I have kind of suffered from depression throughout my life. But
Sure.
once getting my implants removed, it was my implants. I wasn't depressed. They were actually causing me to be chronically fatigued. So
So let's talk about that aspect of what symptoms you did, or I guess what things you didn't even know were symptoms or could potentially be linked. I mean, we can't prove a lot of these things are linked, but there's so
mhm.
many women with a story like yours that after they had them removed I mean, they felt better, they were lighter. Explain some of those symptoms, like the things you weren't expecting to change.
Yeah. Well, and I got my implants removed because I wanted them removed. Like I wasn't sick enough that I thought, oh, I hope this heals me. Or I just was in a space that it was like, okay, these no longer serve me. And so I got them removed just because it was time for me and my body wanted them released. But I was completely amazed when I just had all this energy all of a sudden. Like if I would go out of the house when I had my implants, like I just couldn't wait till I got back home so I could like rest. Or, if I
Yeah.
went out to do yard work, I was like, oh, in an hour I can go inside and sit down. I just and and I didn't understand what was causing me to feel that way, and so of course I kind of just blamed it on life and circumstances.
Getting older, kid,
Yeah.
whatever.
But once they were out, like I could not believe how much energy I have, and just my skin's come back to life, and I feel the hugest difference for me is my heart space. And that's when I started thinking, like, wow, I think I got implants to protect my heart, because I had experienced a lot of pain in my life and I've never felt safe. And so then it was like, oh, if I have this over my heart, then it will like really protect me.
Well,
and
it's
give
like
me
that
some
extra, it's like a spacer, like bumpers.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Actually, when you had posted that on Facebook, I related to that a lot, because I realized when I hug people, it kept me from getting too close, because you physically, you can't, and it's
You
not
can't. Right, because they're hard. I mean, they're not like this, they're not like rocks by all means, but they are something that creates a little bit of resistance. And so
it's not comfortable.
Oh yeah, exactly. And so I really believe that's the reason why I got breast implants. Of course, the look, and it was beautiful, and you look super sexy in certain outfits, but I know that I got them because I just felt very unsafe in life, and I was in a really vulnerable space, and it just allowed me to feel more comfortable in my environment. Like I would be guarded somehow, even though I subconsciously probably didn't know that. But now that I can work myself through a process, it's like, oh, that's completely the reason I did it.
Sure. Well, and listen, we can live in a space of regret and say, oh, I wish I never would have. But you and I are on the same page as far as regret. I mean, for what purpose? Everything is a teacher, and we learn. And some lessons are not as fun as others to experience. And I know that for me, I really hope to save women some trouble if necessary, or if possible, or even just if they're feeling symptoms they don't understand. Because I've definitely, for me, I get mine out 3 weeks from today, actually. I leave. So 3 weeks from tomorrow is when I'm getting mine out. And my story is more similar to yours, that I didn't relate to feeling sick necessarily until I put out into the universe I wanted to have a baby, and that I wanted my body to be in the best possible position for that. Then I started to get symptoms. And from doctors and visits, process of elimination, it's all that's left. My blood's immaculate. Everything's immaculate. Now, I'll talk about my story another time, but I relate to you with the idea that, I mean, I didn't actually put a lot of thought into mine. It just kind of happened. And I was like, okay, sure, whatever. But they're just not serving me, and feel in the way. And I know that you're, active and you like to work out, and I'm the same. And I'll be honest, there's just things I feel like they're getting in my way.
Yeah, absolutely.
So how long has it been since you explanted?
September 8th.
Okay, so you just, nice.
Yeah.
That's so wonderful. So you're still feeling the higher energy and...
Yeah, absolutely. I feel amazing. And I just feel like, oh, I'm finally in my truth of who I am, like who my body wanted to be. And it really started to make it so I felt disconnected from who I truly was because of this one thing in my way. But like I said, it was my heart space that wanted to expand. And it's like it couldn't expand because there's this silicone and saline like blocking it, so so once I remove that, it's like, oh, I can just feel love a lot deeper than I used to, it seems like, and I just feel more grounded and connected to just expanding in that beautiful space, instead of feeling like there's something trapped around me that I can't quite get out of.
Sure. And you're married, correct?
Yeah.
Great. So what was that conversation like with your husband? Because I know there's a lot of women that don't have supportive husbands or partners, or they don't know how to explain it to them because they're afraid of losing that sexuality, or that, this thing that society has told us makes us sexy, which absolutely doesn't.
Yeah. Right.
So what did that look like? Was that an easy conversation for you?
Well, for me, it was like my husband is super supportive of every and anything I want to do, so
It's
I'm
amazing.
like an entrepreneur that has ADD, that I'm like,
Yeah.
"Try this
Oh
and
yeah,
this
that's
and this."
me.
Yeah.
Oh, squirrel.
So yeah, exactly. And he's just super supportive, and he was supported when I wanted them. Like, he was not for or against it. He was just kind of like, "Oh, if that will make you feel better, great." And then when I talked about getting them out, I've talked about it off and on for a couple of years. So
Sure.
once I seen the Facebook group and I started reading people's posts, I just thought, oh, this is like the thing that pushed me over the edge.
Right.
And so I talked to him, and he was really supportive. And so I am very grateful for him that isn't like, oh, only girls with big boobs are super sexy, or you
Right.
know what I mean? He knows that sexuality and sexual confidence comes from inside, not from how you look.
Well, and let's be honest, when women are fully free and comfortable
Mm-hmm.
in their own skin, they're only going to benefit their partners. Like,
Yeah, oh,
that's,
exactly. Mm-hmm.
any smart partner knows the freer your significant other is, the better it's probably going to be um, all around.
Yeah, exactly.
So
Mm-hmm.
who was your doctor? If you want to share, if not, that's fine too. But I know that a lot of women are exploring, trying to find,
Yeah.
who your doctor was and what kind, if you explant and capsule, or, because I know there's tons of different levels. And
Mm-hmm.
I know people recommend taking the capsule out, but for some women, the anesthesia is scary. And I really think that every woman knows in her heart
Oh,
and needs to follow what works for her.
yeah. And that's what I did. I had read a ton of different ways to explant, and then I just followed my own intuition, my own guidance. And so I explanted with Dr. Angela Keen,
Hmm.
Keen is her name. And I didn't do the capsulectomy, so I just had my under boob like numbed, and they like just make a little incision and
Uh-huh.
kind of pull the implant out. And I had saline, so they were just able to drain them and then pull
And
the
then pull it.
silicone casing out. Yeah. And so I was awake the whole time, which was kind of strange, like watching
Sure.
your boob like be big, and then I like just deflates. You're like, oh
like
shit.
a new episode of some Netflix television
Yeah.
show.
So, but the healing process was super simple that way for me, because I homeschool. I'm an entrepreneur, and then it's like I just didn't want to be put to sleep for one thing, and then
Yeah,
I just felt like, oh, this is right for me. And
sure.
so it
Listen,
was,
surgery is still surgery, and there's always risks
mm-hmm.
involved, and that's why it's crazy that so many people or so it's just crazy so many people don't know how often women get a breast augmentation, but they require extra surgeries. Like, it's crazy watching in these
Mm-hmm.
groups and even talking to personal friends who have had multiple surgeries because of contractures or anything. Did you have any problems after you had your initial implants put in?
No, I didn't, which I'm so grateful, because I mean, I've read those stories too on those Facebook pages and different things of just all the things that these women have experienced. And I was just so blessed that nothing like
Mm,
that happened. But going into it, it's like I just jumped without ever doing any research or
I didn't
thinking
either.
about, yeah, like, oh, I'm going to be put to sleep and something could go wrong. And I had kids, and it's weird that I don't know, your brain goes into a different area of like just
Well,
thinking of
it's
one
also
thing.
so common.
Yeah.
It's such a common procedure, and the doctors are, downplay it too, of just, listen, of course there's risk. It's surgery, but we all
Hmm.
know people that have gotten their, breasts done. And so it's become so common that it's just kind of, it'll be fine.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Everybody's done
Exactly.
it. We're just grown up, peer pressure.
Yeah, yeah, it's true. It's definitely true. And so, yeah, but I mean, I never really thought about any of the risks. And so it's amazing that there's these groups out there and women are talking about this now, because
Yes.
I've seen like on the groups people thinking about getting their breasts augmented, and then they decided not to because of all the stories and
Oh,
stuff. And that's awesome.
if I would have known all this, there's no way I would have, because I also did under the
Yeah.
muscle. So they
Mm.
cut the muscle. And even back then, I was into fitness in some capacity. I loved to work out. I
Mm-hmm.
never, if I would have understood that, I mean, you're pulling the muscle off of your ribs. Like that's it's not normal. But yeah, would you have, if you knew what you know now, would you have done it back then?
No.
Yeah, I wouldn't either.
They never really did anything great for me, like, I mean, maybe I looked good in a dress, or you know what I mean?
Listen,
something
everyone,
like that.
it's nice to fill a dress.
Yeah,
It is.
exactly.
Or
Besides
strapless.
that,
But I mean, how often has that
Mm-hmm.
actually happened?
Right.
For the amount of discomfort and everything else that comes along with it. Did you have any like shoulder pain or neck pain at all? Did you notice?
I didn't, but the last like 6 months, my left arm would like start tingling, and my hand
I'm
would start going
experiencing that a lot, actually.
Yeah.
That's one of the symptoms the last 6 months or so that I never thought could have anything to do with my implant. And I found out when I started going to doctors to meet about my explant that mine had fallen out of the pocket, so it was pushing nerves on the left side. I thought I've been doing all this work to get my muscles balanced back out, thinking I had a muscle imbalance. It's actually totally not related to that at all.
Yeah. So my doctor, she said she told me that it was probably my implant causing that. And so, but it has went away since I got my implants removed. So
it has gone away?
Yeah.
See? Mm-hmm. I mean, it makes sense. We have nerves, and if a nerve gets pressed on, that's going to happen.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Wow. I'm really excited to start these series of videos, and I'm so excited that you're my first like person to figure out what we're doing.
Yeah, that's awesome.
You were super patient with me while we got ready. So, I think we can kind of wrap it up. We've talked about everything. If you were, what would you say to yourself 10 and a half years ago? If you could just share, a little bit like an enlightened piece of information, what would you say to yourself 10 and a half years ago, just for women out there that are thinking about it, and doing their research, basically?
Mm-hmm. If I was to talk to myself 10 and a half years ago, I would tell myself that what I was looking for wouldn't be found in anything external. So anything like facelift or breast implants or whatever we do to help us feel better and more confident, you're going to find that all internally. And just doing the internal emotional work to just feel happy inside your body and who you are and what you bring to the world. And the physical part of yourself will light up, just
absolutely
connecting to that part. I mean, that's what we're looking for. It's to feel worthy and valuable and amazing. We want to feel that way, and we think having big boobs will do that, and maybe it does briefly,
or like on some, it's still a very artificial level,
very shallow. Exactly. And so that's what I would definitely say. Like, if you're doing it for that reason, trying to feel better and more confident, like that's all going to be found on the inside.
I couldn't agree with you more. So I think, we've had a good conversation and let people really get to know you. So before we hop off, why don't you let people know what you're working on? If you've got a website and you said you're an entrepreneur, if there's something you believe in, like by all means, or books you love, something, anything. Go ahead and share. Go ahead and share.
So for about 5 years, I've been on a sexual journey, like just feel more sexually empowered and more connected. And I realize all these emotions get ignited in the bedroom, and we think it's because of our sexual partner, but a lot of it is just emotions that we carry around, like get ignited in that vulnerable space. So I wrote a blog for 5 years at sexlessmarriagenomore.com. And so that's a passion of mine, just kind of sharing my journey and what's helped me, because, I experienced sexual abuse and just trauma and different things like that. And then when we get married, like, sex should be beautiful, but we have all these emotions attached to it.
Yeah, we do.
So, and
especially when you're in a safe relationship, that's when it gets really crazy.
Right. Well, that's when things feel safe enough to like express themselves, like the feelings of abandonment or rejection or all these things that we've experienced even in our childhood life come up, and then we think, oh, this sex stuff is awful, like, and we just shut down. We don't want to experience it. But if we work through those emotions, oh, it could be such a beautiful thing, you know. It's painful and it's pleasurable, you know. So,
Sure.
yeah. And then this book I'm actually reading right now, and it is amazing. The name of it's called Pussy, Pussy. And but it's just this beautiful book about reclaiming our sexual power and that word, because it's been like a word.
It is a loaded word for some
Yeah,
people, like such a trigger word. It's very interesting.
I know, yeah. I've used it in a blog and had my family unfriend me and call me upset, and it's just because that word triggers them so much. And it's like, I remember it used to trigger me a ton too.
Sure.
You know? Now I think it's a beautiful word and I use it all the time, but it is an amazing book. I'm only about 80 pages in, but it's really a beautiful.
I'll definitely check it out. You know, it's there's definitely a lot of similarities in our paths as far as, you know, looking more on energetic levels and the things that we carry and the things that we store. So I know that I'll definitely check it out. Share your website one more time, your blog.
It's sexlessmarriagenomore.com.
Awesome.
So thank you so much for having me on.
It's been a pleasure. Absolutely. Yeah. And it's, you know, again, it's just getting stories out of real women and why we do the things that we do, because there's so much shame around sexuality and plastic surgery, especially. Yeah. It breaks my heart how many women won't tell their children that they had their breasts done or taken them out, that they can't share with their family or friends. And I mean, it absolutely breaks my heart, because there's so much shame around it when this is the biggest procedure in the United States.
Oh,
I mean, it's a huge, huge market. And I want to help remove that shame and let people know that we all have our path.
Yeah.
You know, and it doesn't have to be, we can choose to go it alone or not. But I think this at least gives us the opportunity for us to connect.
Yeah, absolutely.
See each other on a more authentic level, and not just on Facebook and not just from cute little memes and puppy videos.
Yeah.
Though I do like those. Don't get me wrong.
Do too. I know. And the whole kid thing, I think it's such a beautiful thing to share with your children, because
I do too.
You can help them through their life. You know, like our experiences are our experiences, but by sharing them with our kids, like, then they can be like, oh, mom went through that and I don't want to do the same thing. And
we share so many of our experiences unknowingly, even, because that's how we develop our judgments. And whether or not we want to be judgmental, we can't help but to be.
I know.
So to only give partial truth means they're going to create stories for the rest. So let them at least form their opinion off experiences, whether yours or somebody else's. Because guess what? If you're not telling them, then the internet is, or their friends are. And I think that's the scariest alternative imaginable.
Yeah, exactly. Awesome.
Wonderful. It was such a pleasure. And I hope that us sharing this stuff helps more people. And I'm so grateful that you were the first story we're going to share.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you for reaching out. I'm excited to stay connected.
Me too. Have an amazing day, and I can't wait to check out your blog too.
Okay. Thank you.
See you later, love.
Bye.
Bye.